What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's Tuesday, and I feel like doing a tier list, and I thought that I'd bring back the series that I kind of do every single offseason, where I look at every single team's position group. We're going to start with the forward core today, then the defense core in a week, then goalie tandems in 2 weeks from now. And yeah, there was some serious movement of forwards this offseason. The New York Rangers got Pavel Dorofeyev. The Florida Panthers, of course, got Brady Tkachuk. The Ottawa Senators replaced Brady Tkachuk with William Eklund. So yeah, it's not going to be the same as maybe we had last year. This is, of course, based on how good I think that their overall forward core is. And the tiers are pretty self-explanatory. I don't mean like galaxy brain tiers like I do. Sometimes it's just elite, very good, solid, meh, and buns. And we are going to be looking at the daily face-off of every single team because, like, in previous videos, I kind of forget some players and you guys scream at me, rightfully so. So we're going to look at these lineups mainly so I just don't forget, guys, if I'm going to be honest. But we're starting with the Carolina Hurricanes. Don't think I'll forget anything about this team considering they just won the goddamn Stanley Cup. And as we go over to their lines for next season, right now they don't have Seth Jarvis, but they're going to be calling up probably like Bradley Nadeau, who has been consistently point per game the last 2 years in the AHL at like half a goal per game. Yeah, it's one of the best forward cores of recent memory, if we're going to be honest, in terms of the depth that they have. The first line last year of Svechnikov, Aho, and Jarvis was like underwhelming in the playoffs, and then it was the second line that dominated. Ehlers on the third line with Stahl and Martinuk. Even their fourth line, Carrier, Jankowski, Robinson, all very, very good. A lot of chemistry, a lot of solid two-way play. They're pretty easily in that top tier, in my opinion, without a doubt, a top three forward core in the entire NHL. The Anaheim Ducks, even though like we're probably all low on them, how their offseason is gone, it's still a pretty good forward core when you look at it. Like Leo Carlsson probably should be an 85, 90-point guy this season. Cutter Gauthier slated on the third line. Wouldn't surprise me if he's playing on the top line with Leo Carlsson coming off a 40-goal season. Beckett Seneca, you could say that he's probably going to go for like 70, 75 points. Troy Terry might be the one question mark here. Not because he hasn't been consistent, but just because he's coming off a hip injury where he's probably going to miss the first month or two of the season. If he's 100%, it's definitely a good forward core. It could maybe become very good if Frank Vetrano bounces back. They also might be moving off one of Killorn, Kreider, or Vetrano, but if they don't, Vetrano, he needs to be better after falling off a cliff last season. Killorn and Kreider, not what they used to be, but still like solid middle six third liners. Paling's like a pretty good third line center. Hopefully he's 100% after taking that really nasty hit against Vegas in the playoffs. Really nasty concussion. But yeah, this is still a very good group that's only going to get better because their three best forwards are so young and are only going to take steps next season. Going back to the tier list, the Calgary Flames have maybe the worst forward core in the entire NHL heading into next season. Let's go check it out. Yeah, Morgan Frost, 1C. I don't know if that's going to get it done. Mikael Backlund could be like a solid third line center on other teams. Strome, Huberdeau's coming off massive hip surgery. I know that they might have some young guys that aren't placed here that like could make the team out of camp, but it's a team of like a lot of third liners. I'm excited for Gridden. I think Coronado's underrated, but yeah, outside of that, it's really just third liners. It's not even like the Seattle Kraken, who also probably will be in that tier, but they're at least like middle sixers. This team, do they have any injuries that I'm forgetting about? No, that's just the Calgary Flames heading into next season. Yikes! The Colorado Avalanche, you could argue elite. We're going to go over to them now. I think I'm going to put them in very good right now. They did lose some solid depth this year during the offseason because, of course, they were pretty cap tight. They lost Etrushkin, they lost Colton, they lost Drury. They did replace them like okay. Like I think Schwartz is a solid pickup as long as he doesn't regress too much. Svechkov and LaRue from Nashville could be solid fourth liners. But especially last year in the playoffs, like it exposed some cracks with Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson post-Olympics, I think he only had like 13 points in his final 25 games and then only like 3 points in what was it, like 14 or 15 playoff games. So it's not looking like it did 6 months ago where we said that this might be the best forward core in the entire NHL. So I think right now, until we see how these new guys kind of mesh on the team, I think we're going to put them in very good. I think very good is a solid placement. Speaking of solid, I think the Boston Bruins are probably in solid. Yes, they have David Pastrnak. Like that first line is really going to cook. It's going to come down to whether Peterka can have a bounce back season, whether Hagens can immediately give you like 45, 50 points. Then I could see them in good. But I still think that this forward core, just on face value, is kind of underwhelming. It's filled with a lot of like solid middle sixers, but nothing really makes you pop. outside of David Pastrnak. He is a top 10 player in the NHL, but I'm not sure I can go good quite with this group. If I'm going to be honest, I think that they belong in solid. This might piss off some people, though. I think I would have the St. Louis Blues in good. I am obviously very high in the St. Louis Blues. If you've seen my video where I said they're the third most likely team that missed the playoffs last year to make it the following season. This is a pretty good forward core, man. Holloway last year, 70-point pace. Robert Thomas, besides last year, has been like consistently point per game. Snuggerud had 22 goals, 50 points in 70 games at 21 years old. McMichael, if he bounces back, it's really going to come down to the mix. If McTavish and McMichael can bounce back, that is a very and Buchnevich, this is an entire redemption line. Maybe I'm just higher on them, and I think they are going to bounce back, but this will make or break them. Neighbors on your third line's awesome. Suter's a very good third line center. Dvorsky, if he takes a step, very good third liner. Yeah, I'm pretty high on this group. There's no injuries, right? It's not like I don't think Carbonneau's going to make the team out of camp, but I'm high on them. I know that might be crazy, but I'm just very high in the St. Louis Blues. It could explode in my face. Do not get me wrong. Buffalo, I think that they're still good. Even though they lost Alex Tuch, this is still a very formidable, deep top nine when looking at it. I think Sam Carrick as their fourth line center is pretty good. This is a really good deep team. Geez, they got Krebs and Malestein on the fourth line. Not saying Malestein's like amazing. They paid him like he's pretty damn good at like $3.2 million. But yeah, assuming Benson takes the jump that I think that he can, and Norris can stay somewhat healthy. I know that's a huge F. That's a very formidable first line. I am extremely high on these two. Oop, I'm highlighting wrong. Ostland and Helenius. I think that would be a fantastic third line. One of the best third lines in the entire NHL. So yeah, I just really like Buffalo's young forwards. When I have my U24 core rankings, player core rankings, Buffalo might be decently high. Pittsburgh, I'm going solid. I think solid is a solid, fair assessment for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Very good top line. Malkin, Novak. A full season of Chinnikov definitely will help them out. The third line, Robertson and Kuzmenko could get them into good. If they have solid to good seasons, I could see them raising the bar of this forward core, but I don't think it's quite in that good tier. I don't quite personally. Next up, Tampa Bay Lightning. I think you got to go with very good, even though in the playoffs, outside of like their top line, absolutely nobody showed up. Gensel, Point, Kucherov, pretty damn good first line. Look at this second line. They still need to find a second line right winger, but their bottom six is pretty solid. You got Holmberg. You got Yanni Gord as your third line center. Dominic James really impressed me last year. Makheyev's that perfect bottom six penalty killer. I hope that Geeky can somehow make the team, hopefully ahead of like Gergensen on a third line. Do they have any injuries that are listed down here? Yeah, Geeky hopefully should make this team. He was point per game last year in the AHL, and I think that he really would add some solid depth scoring to that bottom six, which is something that they have been lacking recently. I probably had them like 6 months ago. I would have had them in elite. I can't do that, especially after that playoff performance. But I think very good is fair for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida Panthers, no shit. They are definitely valid in this elite tier. They might have the best forward core that we have seen, like, of the 21st century, if we're going to be honest. This is a horrifying group. They have that high-end star power of Barkov, of Reinhart, of Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk's their fourth, maybe even like fifth, if you really like Carter Verhaeghe or Sam Bennett forward on this team. That is insane. And then your third line, this was a dominant force in the 2025 playoffs. I understand the fourth line is maybe a little bit underwhelming, but they're going to play like 8-9 minutes a night. They're not going to be a massive impact. This top nine is disgusting. They definitely deserve the elite tier. Chicago, I unfortunately think, is buns as of right now, the way that it is shaping up with the Chicago Blackhawks. They have a lot of candidates for internal growth. This could be meh. This could even be solid, but you're relying on Frundell immediately being like a 55-point second liner. You're relying on Nazar being fully consistent, being that 60-point second line center. Oliver Moore, I just haven't seen enough out of. Lourdes, I think those guys are going to be very good third liners in like 2 to 3 years. Will they be that next season? I'm not so sure, where this is still a very underwhelming forward core. I think a lot of people will agree with me on this. I don't think I have to defend my point too much. It is pretty trendy right now to dog on the Chicago Blackhawks. Next up, the Dallas Stars. It's very good or good. It's not elite. It's not what it used to be. It is not what it used to be, and we're going to show this right now. I think I'm going to put them in good just because the top six like is so loaded, assuming you move like Duchesne to left wing and you have Duchesne, Johnston, Rantanen, and then Robertson, Hintz, Sagan. But after that, man, it is kind of scary hours. That bottom six, yikes. That is a Jamie Benn washed up, should have retired. I like them bringing back Kiviranta, but like, again, he's just like a solid fourth liner. He doesn't move the needle. Where I could see you argue for just good. I just think that the top end talent is so good where you have to have them in very good. Next up, we got the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I think I do land on a meh. I think that they are one of the most volatile forward cores that we're going to look at because they lost Marchment, they lost Boone Jenner, their captain. They brought in Natrushkin. He might only be good. He's consistently only good for like 55, 60 games a season. Do you think Fantilli is going to take this step to be the number one center? That happened last year with Carlson. It hasn't happened with Adam Fantilli. Will Kent Johnson bounce back? Will Connor Garland, he really, outside of like the first 4 games, is pretty unproductive with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah, Cole Sillinger kind of is what he is at this point. If Fantilli does take that step, they're solid. Then they do have that number one center, 2 kind of like low end second line centers. But if he doesn't, I think that this is a pretty aggressively meh forward core. If we're going to be honest, the Detroit Red Wings, it's kind of the same considering they might not have their number one center of Dylan Larkin. He might get traded. They might have still a solid center, but probably a younger one that's not as good. And yeah, they already have Andrew Kopp, who I know was better last year, but as for second line center, Jesus Christ. Marco Kasper, how will he perform next year? There's just so many unknowns. The only certainties heading into next year with the forward core, Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat. Outside of that, complete question marks. I know that they have some young guys that might be playing at the NHL level next year. You can't pencil them in to be like legit second liners. Arvidsson, you never know. This guy has been so up and down the last couple of years, where I think you definitely got to go with men. Not Buns, because, again, they have 2 established high-level elite guys, and Larkin, if he is on the team, that makes it 3. But, yeah, right now, I think meh is fair. Edmonton, I think, could be elite. I might get called crazy for this. We're going to look at it right now. I was looking at it before. If I Coward can give you 50 points on a wing with McDavid and Draisaitl, I know that a lot of it will have to be because of he's playing with those guys. But this team could be pretty damn good in terms of the forward core. They brought back Dickinson. Yes, you could say it's too many years. He's a very good, an okay third line center, preferably very good fourth line center. Savoy was really good last year next to Connor McDavid. I know a lot of people look good next to him, but it's a pretty deep group, man. The fourth line isn't too good, but I think the top 9 is damn good. Podkolzin works so well with Leon Draisaitl. I'm going to move them down to very good, though. I hate to tease the Edmonton. I still think that these 2 teams and potentially another team are just on another level, but it probably would be the next team up in terms of who's going from very good to elite. But the LA Kings, I'm going to go with solid. I'm a little bit higher on LA than others. Not saying they're going to be world beaters. I think it's a very deep lineup. Yes, they lost Kopitar. They bring in Zuccarello, Panarin full season. They have some skill. They actually have some pretty solid skill, and they're definitely going to be tough to play against. Where I think, actually, no, they're on the same level as Columbus or Detroit. No, I'm going solid. I'm actually going solid. I'm sticking by it. I think Minnesota also actually goes in solid when you look at it outside of Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, and Eric Sedek. It's bad. It's buns outside of those 3, but 2 of those guys are arguably top 10 forwards in the entire NHL. So you still got to give them some respect because of that star power. But outside of that, man, it's a team of bottom sixers for the most part. They got to do more work in terms of that forward core. Yikes. Montreal, good. If they acquired a second line center this offseason, it definitely would go up to very good. It could go up even more if Demidov takes this star step to like 80, 85 points next year, if Slavkovsky continues to improve. But yeah, outside of like the core 4 of their forward core, those guys were all very good in the playoffs. I'm not trying to say, again, this is a bad forward core, but it maybe leaves a little bit more to be desired. It's very deep, like Bolduc, Kapanen, Kirby Dach as your 4th line, at least right. I know that might not be the 4th line come opening night, but Daily Faceoff has it as that. It's solid. It's solid, and it has 4 very good players, very elite, or going to be some of them going to be elite soon. Players where I think good is fair. They're closer to very good than good, though. Nashville, let me go get a double check in Nashville. I think it might actually be, no, that's New Jersey. Nashville, actually, I don't know who Pinchuk is, if I'm going to be honest. The top 6 is, if Matthew Wood can take a solid step after having like 17 goals as a rookie, I still think, do they have any injuries? they still belong in meh. But it's not as bad as maybe some people will make it out to be. New Jersey, if we're assuming that Jack Hughes can stay healthy, I think that this is a pretty solid group. I like the pickup of Evan Rodriguez. I think Gritsuk's second season in the NHL. I know he's not particularly young, but I think he's going to be very good. Timo Meier is really the difference between solid and good for me. If we can get him back to even 32 goals, like 60 points next year, I think this takes it to a potential another level. Connor Brown was really good, where it's solid. It's a solid group as of right now. My Islanders, I think it's meh. I'm not being biased. I'm not going to be biased with the New York Islanders. I think this forward core is very uninspiring, if I'm going to be honest. There's no young guys outside of Victor Eklund maybe making the team, outside of Cal Ritchie taking a big step. There's really not much to be optimistic about. It's definitely not Buns because, again, Barzal, Horvat, two very good players, and they do have some decent depth. I cannot believe Andre Palat. That fourth line is fucking atrocious, but yeah, let's not talk about the Islanders. Let's move on. The Rangers, I'm going to go with solid. They made a lot of moves this offseason to their forward core. They got rid of Trocheck. They brought in Dorofeev. They brought in Bjorkstrand, who I think is a solid pickup. I still don't love the bottom six, but assuming Perreault takes a big jump, assuming Dorofeev can be that 35-goal guy, maybe even 40, considering they're going to be feeding him so much. Lafreniere in the back, like third of last season, was like sniffing point per game, where I think it's solid. JT Miller needs to be better. Zibanejad was better in the back half of last season. Laba was a nice little find rookie season last year. But yeah, the bottom six still kind of holds it back. I thought Cooley was going to have a better season last year. Maybe he will this year, but that kind of holds them back from potentially being good. Ottawa, I do think is pretty good. Yes, they lost Brady Tkachuk. I still think this is a very deep group. I love their three centers. Tim Stützle, legit number one center. Cousins, solid, good second line center. Pinto, one of the best third line centers probably in the NHL. Yeah, I think it's a solid group. They definitely needed to add some other kind of goal scorer, not Andre Burakovsky, but I think Eklund is going to give you like 60, 65 points next year. Where, yeah, they definitely rely on their depth, but they do have some solid high-end talent like Stützle, like Batherson, and I think Eklund can be a pretty high-end talent. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers. Their like wingers are good, very good, but then when you factor in the centers, I think they probably fall in solid. Let's go over to them right now. And yeah, when you just see that Christian Dvorak number one center, that hits you. Oh, that is no bueno. I like Zegras as a second line center. I like Cates as a third line center. I like Couture as a fourth line center. But yeah, that lack of number one center really hurts them. Really deep on the wings. If he actually plays Michkov and Michkov gets back on track, I think that this can be a good group. Overall, Barkey is a very underrated young guy that was solid for them last season. Forrester, if he can stay healthy, if he's the same guy that he was pre-injury, his numbers did kind of fall off. Yes, he was coming back from injury in the regular season and the playoffs. There's a lot to like about this, but again, until they have a number one center, you're not going to see it in the very good. Definitely not. The elite, I could see you moving them up there, but I'm just going to put them in solid. I think, again, they're on the same as like a Rangers, as like a Devils. Winnipeg, I think, is pretty meh, as much as I like my guy Vigo Bjork coming in, potentially being the second line center. You just look at this team outside of that top line, and it's maybe like maybe the worst bottom nine in the entire NHL. Like, is that ridiculous? Even with, let's say, Vigo Bjork instead of Morgan Barron, and you shift them up, like, yikes. I hope that they play Rosen a lot. I hope that they play Lambert next season, but yeah, it's not looking good in Winnipeg in terms of their forward core. I can't go Buns because they have two guys that could put up like 100 points in a season, as well as Velarde being like a 70-point guy. San Jose. San Jose is interesting. Between solid and good, I think I'm going to put them in good. We're going to go over to them. You look at this top line, that is a very good top line, even though the combined age of that top line is like 62 or 63, based on what these guys did last year. Misa is really going to be what is the separator if he can stay healthy, if he can be a 55, 60 even point guy, like I think he maybe can be. That is going to help a lot because Marchment can be your like sniffing 25 and 25, 30 and 30 kind of guy. Graf last year was 20 and 20. This third line of Stenberg, Wenberg, and Sherwood, that is pretty damn good. They have Toffoli right now on the fourth line. I'm not sure that's going to stay. But yeah, I think this is a pretty damn good forward core. So I think right now they kind of deserve the distinction of being in good. Seattle, though, they deserve the extinction. Maybe the franchise should be extinct. The distinction of being in buns. Yeah, there's no serious high-end talent. I think Berkeley Caddy can maybe be that in a couple of years. But right now, it is just a team of middle sixers. We've made that joke 9,000 times. I like the pickup of Samoskevich. It doesn't move the needle at all. McCann's their best guy. He does have a 40-goal season under his belt, but has not come close to replicating that recently. They deserve to be in that bottom tier. Washington, though, I think deserves to be in the top tier when you look at how deep this goddamn forward core is. Their fourth line right now is Protas, who is point per game in the AHL, Sordiff, who had awesome analytics and had 35 points, and Anthony Beauvillier, who's just been a solid third liner for most of his career. This is gross in terms of depth. Yes, they don't like that star talent, but I think the depth is just so goddamn overwhelming that I think you have to have them nearing that care. I probably maybe still would have them as the third best pure forward core behind Florida, number one. These aren't in order, by the way. I'm just doing this for demonstration. Carolina 2, and then Washington. But I think that they are a tier above these guys, even though those teams do have the superstar talent. Again, Washington's depth is just fucking insane. Vegas, I think this is not that controversial. I have them in very good. We saw it in the playoffs. Guys rise to the occasion and score goals. Yes, they lost Dorofeev, but they still deserve the distinction with William Karlsson being fully healthy next season, with the Brett Howden breakout down the middle of the ice. They're so damn good. I think I would still have them in very good. I could see an argument. They're definitely closer to good than elite, considering they lost Dorofeev, but I'm still gone with them in very good. Utah, I think, belongs in good. I think they do. Yes, they lost Peterka, but they brought in Trocheck, who I think right now is a better player than Peterka. They brought in Anders Lee, who's going to be a very good bottom sixer for them. I don't think he's going to be on the second line the next couple of years. Yeah, as long as Cooley takes a big step, hopefully he can get the point per game this year. Gunther, I think last year, did he hit 40 goals? I don't know. He was an absolute monster. Yeah, I think there's a good forward core heading into next year. Barrett Hayden, 1-year deal, $4.75 million, seeing unrestricted free agency next summer. The Vancouver Canucks, pretty easily in the worst. They're pretty easily the worst forward core. Actually, no, Calgary might be worse. Yeah, Calgary's probably worse. But still, this is pretty stinky, even if Pettersson bounces back a decent amount. Yeah, they want to be good. They want to be bad by design. So I don't think you guys are taking any offense, you Vancouver Canucks fans, but they're definitely in that bottom tier. And then the Leafs, I think I'm going to put them in good. It's really just going to come down to McKenna and Matthews. Can McKenna immediately be a 60-point guy? Can Austin Matthews give me at least 50 goals, 90 points? I'm not even asking for 69 and 107-point Austin Matthews. I'm not even begging for that. Obviously, if he does that, then they maybe even move up to very good. But yeah, they revamped the bottom six. I think it is a better bottom six. It's definitely a harder bottom six to play against. But yeah, it's going to come down to Mr. McKenna. If hopefully Tavares doesn't fall off that much. Unfortunately, he's going to have to be relied on to be their second line center. Rosovic's going to be a fun guy in their top six if he gets looks. But yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good forward core. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Let me know, what do you think about this tier list? Do you like the daily face-off where we go back and forth? Again, I just don't want to forget a guy, and then you guys get on me, rightfully so. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Who would you have as the best and worst defenses for next week and goalie tandems? Can't wait for that. And I'll be seeing the next one. Peace.